If you want to showcase a product, the most effective camera move is this orbiting movement. Let me just show you two different ways to do it, and not only in Cinema 4D but also in Unreal Engine. And I would recommend you to watch both because the same principle applies. So the first thing we're going to do in Cinema 4D is to use a spline control. Since we're making an orbiting shot, let's just use a circle as our spline. Then we have to tell Cinema 4D what goes onto this spline circle. And in this case, we're going to use a align to spline tag. Make sure it's applied to the camera and choose the spline that you want. In our case, it's the circle. But how do you make sure the camera is locked to the object? And easy. We're going to use a target tag, and then we have to choose a target. But most people will just target the object, and that is not you, because you are watching my tutorial. Instead of targeting on the object, we're going to target an empty null object. And there are two reasons why we're going to use the null object instead. First reason is that it's a lot easier not only to rotate, but also having a focus point for your camera so that you can drag it in later on. And for up and down movement, we're going to create a separate null. Make sure that is centered in the object. That's going to be our controller for the circle. So we're going to drag in our circle into the controller. And now we can clearly tell that this is our up and down movement. Now we just animate a camera. We're gonna pull up the F curve, make sure it's smooth, and done. Let me teach you an easier and simplified way. Basically, we're gonna have a pivot point where the camera can orbit around it. It's a lot more universal. We're gonna add a empty null. Make sure that your object is, aligned with the null, and the camera inside the null. And let's call it rotate. Well, if you want to make it up and down, exactly the same thing as before, we're gonna create a new null. And I don't need to repeat the rest, right? We're just gonna move on to Unreal Engine. And a lot of tutorials will go, oh, if you want to make the orbit movement, just use a camera rig. Dude, fuck camera rig. It's actually so useless, restrictive, overcomplicated, and it's so hard to control. Sorry, I totally just displaced my anger towards the software. I'm gonna speak in a softer tone. The reason why it's fucking garbage is because the only time that you actually need to use it is when you're animating a car. Now back to the topic, what we're gonna do is to create a empty actor, and we're gonna make sure that the empty actor is exactly the same place as our cube. And we're gonna simply place our camera inside of the actor, tracking is on, and then we'll select the object you want to track. So exactly the same principle. We're done. If you want to learn more about Unreal Engine camera and some of the unconventional tips, I have it for paid Patreon members. Click this link right here.